return the baby duck, or I'll make your situation very bad. I mean, come on, that sounds exactly like a line delivered by Liam Neeson in some gritty, intense Hollywood action thriller, doesn't it? You picture this desperate hero, pushed to the absolute brink, delivering a chilling, cold-blooded ultimatum to a kidnapper. But what if I told you this line isn't from a multi-million-dollar blockbuster at all? What if I told you it actually comes from a brightly colored, animated video meant for toddlers? Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a wildly unexpected journey together. We are going to take a seemingly simple, lighthearted YouTube children's cartoon from the channel Mama Toons, specifically a video titled The Ugly Duckling, and we're going to treat it as a serious, absolute masterclass lesson in dramatic cinema. Because, when you strip away the bright colors and the silly animal voices, you're actually left with a narrative structure that is as rigid, thrilling, and emotionally manipulative as any gripping cinema masterpiece. Before we really start mapping out this story, I want you to just sit with this question for a second. What drives a character to commit the ultimate betrayal? It's a deeply philosophical question, and it really sits at the very heart of all great storytelling, whether it's Shakespeare, a modern crime drama, or, as we'll see today, a cartoon duck family facing unimaginable loss. We're going to unpack a high-stakes narrative that explores innocent love colliding head-on with corrupt ambition. Okay. Let's dive right into this. Act 1, a peaceful beginning.
To really understand the tragedy to come, we first have to establish the tranquil status quo. Basically, every classic story structure starts by showing us the world in perfect, undisturbed balance. We meet our protagonists, a simple duck family, completely unaware of the dark clouds gathering just beyond their nest. And the creators waste literally no time establishing this deeply rooted domestic harmony. We hear joyous hatching sounds, transcribed directly from the source as chirp, 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 and that's immediately followed by these overwhelming expressions of affection with moi, moi, and explicit family bonding, like give your daddy a big hug. We are deliberately fed these concentrated, pure moments of joy so that when their world breaks, ours breaks right along with it.
Which brings us right to Act 2, the inciting incident. That domestic bliss, it is suddenly ripped away, plunging everyone into total chaos. Just think about how fast this escalation happens. In the morning, the eggs hatch safely, but by midday, there is a sudden, chaotic ambush. The transcript captures this frantic energy perfectly, with cries of, "Pa, pa, pa, help, shoo," and "Hey, hey, hey!" And then, by the afternoon, the dust settles to this heavy, suffocating silence, and the tragic realization hits. Our egg has been stolen. It is pacing that would genuinely make Alfred Hitchcock proud. So the parents are just left standing there over an empty nest. The confusion clears up, and a chilling realization sets in as they identify the exact antagonist who committed this unprovoked act of aggression. A monkey took it away. In just 6 words, the entire cartoon shifts from a frantic mystery into a targeted revenge thriller. The enemy officially has a face. All right, let's look at Act 3. The syndicate's motivation. We really need to look at the criminal elements at play here, because this wasn't just some crime of opportunity or a wild animal acting on instinct, right? It was highly organized. The contrast between these opposing forces is staggering. On one side, you have the duck family, innocent victims driven entirely by unconditional love and hyper-focused on protection. On the other side, you have the monkey syndicate, calculating perpetrators driven by hierarchical power and focused entirely on appeasing a superior. We're essentially looking at a classic struggle between pure, natural goodness and a corrupt, power-driven hierarchy. And if you're doubting just how deep this corruption goes, listen to this totally shocking reveal from the transcript. The monkey says, "Boss, I brought your girlfriend's baby. Look here." Unbelievable, right? This completely recontextualizes the villain. The monkey isn't a lone wolf at all. He's merely a pawn, a henchman executing orders from the top down. The kidnapping of the duckling wasn't for survival, it was literally to appease a syndicate boss's girlfriend. It's this display of reckless, unchecked power that absolutely demands a response. Which leads us to Act 4, the epic confrontation. The grieving, desperate duck parents have finally tracked the syndicate down. They've cornered the antagonists. There's literally nowhere left to run, and the time for words is rapidly running out. And what's fascinating is that even in a kid's animation, conflict relies on a highly structured, tactical breakdown. They don't just jump into chaos. Step 1 is the verbal ultimatum, a final chance for peace. Step 2 is the physical strike, punctuated by a combat technique known as the buzzball. And Step 3 is the tactical defeat. Let's walk through exactly how this plays out. This intense clash of bravado that kicks off the fight is just brilliant. We have the desperate parent's warning. If you want to live, give the baby duck back right now. It is direct, it is lethal, and it leaves zero room for negotiation. But meeting that energy is the arrogant henchman's taunt. You want a piece of me? Bring it, buzzball. The monkey, totally drunk on the perceived protection of the syndicate, vastly underestimates the raw kinetic power of a parent protecting its child. What follows is this rapid-fire, kinetic action. The transcript actually becomes highly fragmented here, completely mirroring the sheer chaos of the physical altercation. Hit the monkey, he hit him. You can almost picture the frantic animation, right? The flurry of feathers and fur. The duck just unleashes a barrage of strikes, fighting not with pristine technique, but with the terrifying, unstoppable momentum of righteous fury. But the battle reaches its turning point in an absolute instant. The duck seizes total control of the battlefield, declaring, "You move, monkey, not a chance. This is my turn." The duck has neutralized the threat. The syndicate's muscle is overpowered, completely outmatched, and immobilized. In a flash, the duck has flipped the power dynamic entirely. And finally, Act 5, Surrender and Reunion. The battle is won. The climax has peaked, the energy starts to settle, and we transition into the resolution. The defeated antagonist must now yield to our righteous heroes. We see the complete, humiliating capitulation of the monkey. Totally stripped of his bravado and the protection of his boss, he literally begs, "It was my mistake, please forgive me." This confession is so vital. It's not just about winning a physical fight, it is about forcing the antagonist to acknowledge their moral failure. This absolute surrender is what effectively restores order to the broken narrative universe. So the moral resolution here basically hits every single required beat of a deeply satisfying conclusion. The antagonist has surrendered and apologized. The innocent hostage, the duckling, is secured, affectionately referred to as the sweet little guy, and importantly, the parent's honor is restored. They proclaim, "We're so proud." The family unit, which was once broken by trauma, is now forged stronger than ever before through their shared triumph. What we've just tracked, basically beat by beat, is the flawless delivery of pure catharsis, the emotional release and restoration of peace following a high-stakes dramatic climax. We started with joy, dragged the characters through absolute terror, and ended with a profound sense of relief. It really just goes to show you do not need a massive budget or a 3-hour runtime to execute an ancient storytelling device with absolute precision. I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. If a short, simplistic YouTube cartoon about a duck fighting a monkey perfectly mirrors the structural beats of a Shakespearean tragedy or a massive Hollywood thriller, what does that actually say about our hardwired need for dramatic storytelling? From the very moment we're old enough to look at a screen, we crave the tension of the inciting incident, the clash of good versus evil, and the sweet release of catharsis. We are creatures built on narrative. So the next time you hear a simple chirp, chirp, chirp in the background, just remember, you might actually be watching a masterclass in dramatic cinema unfold right in front of you.